Blue and red lights poured across Birch Hollow Lake like someone splashed paint. On the dark 30, neighbors ringed me up to my shoulders, and the HOA president jabbed a finger at the metal sign I had just bolted in, "Private Property County Deed on File," and shouted, "You stole our lake thief." I didn't shout back. I just raised a brown folder like a firefighter holding a hose, calm hands dry. Voice hoping the deputy would ask me the one question I'd been waiting on all week. When he finally said, "Do you have documentation?" I flipped the folder open and thought, this is either the moment I get my life back or the moment I get flattened on camera. My name is Caleb Mercer, and I didn't buy a fight. I bought quiet, a little oval of water outside Maple Ridge in Northfield counties to tails at the edges, a gravel lane that gives up at a crooked cedar. The kind of place you go when you need to breathe after a year that kept taking small bites out of you. Layoffs, a divorce that was polite in public and sharp in private. The feeling that I'd turned invisible whenever somebody louder walked into the room. That Thursday, I came with a drill, a level of 12 by 18 powder-coated sign, and a folder that rattled. When I exhaled, the plan was 10 minutes and a couple photos, then tacos on the way home. But then here came Lydia Crane, navy blazer clipboard like a badge, and a half circle of neighbors lifting phones like a jury of glass eyes. She stopped 10 feet out and went straight for the headline. "This is community property. You don't get to block us from our own lake." And I felt that old high school heat in my ears, outnumbered, mocked. But I kept my tone even and said, "Show me the recorded easement. You know what I mean. If it exists, we'll all see it. And if it doesn't, we won't pretend it does." Deputy Tom Riker read my deed. My survey, my water rights called the recorder. And when he hung up, he said what the law says when it's having a good day. County confirms private title on record. And you'd think that would cool things off. But Lydia went scarlet and threw out the words prescriptive easement like a smoke bomb. Sheriff Eli West eased in behind the crowd. Older and quiet. The way a shut door. His quiet told everyone to clear out if they didn't have paperwork. And as the phones lowered, I spotted a mossy granite stone, half buried near the water line. CR 51 carved deep with an eagle head, stamped under it. And the deputy leaned in like he was talking to the wind and said, "Look up county record from 51, and didn't add the part I could feel in my ribs. You'll want to know before she comes back with a lawyer." I brushed that stone with my thumb and caught a faint line under the weather. Federal Reserve Project, transferred 1954, and the words clicked like a safe something older than all of us had lived here. And it wasn't community folklore, it was ink and stamps. That night, I couldn't sleep, so I retraced my steps to the beginning. The bank conference room where Dennis Koenig slid a stack across the table and said the price was low because buyers got spooked by the access stories. Stories, not records. And I said, "I can live with noise." And he said, "Careful. Sometimes the noise becomes your address." At the recorder's counter, Shauna Lee tapped keys and said no recorded easement for Birch Hollow Lake private. Since 54 plus, a note that county council advised the HOA against their claim more than once. And at the county archives, a man named Gus Ellery brought down gray boxes that smelled like dry paper. And I sat under a humming light and read my way into a different story than the one on Facebook. A 1951 federal memo declassified after transfer that spells it clean, no public easement, unless recorded with the county recorder. County opinions from 86 and 201 saying prescriptive claim, not supported letters from the HOA in 77, 89, 95 asking to bless access, and the county replying no every time. Then I opened a folder labeled Board Communications, and an email from 2001 slashed the air. From Lydia Crane Counsel, says we have no legal standing. Recommend we keep using it. Nobody will stop us if we act like owners. And I laughed, not because it was funny, because sometimes the mask slips, and you can finally breathe. Yeah, that happened. If words are nice, video is nicer. So I bought 3 trail cameras. Tucked them. Where even I had to squint, one by the sign, one pointed at the path, one with a clean shot of the stone, and at 2:17 a.m. My phone buzzed. 2 figures in hoodies yanked down my sign like it owed them rent, and one of them crouched by the marker and took a hammer to the CR-51. The chip of granite flashed pale in the infrared. The elbow jerked the whisper laugh clipped by the mic profile clear enough for any neighbor who knows a jawline. I saved it twice and emailed County Attorney Maya Caldwell. Subject line, simple, Birch Hollow. Trespass and vandalism attachments heavier than they looked. The next morning, Lydia returned with a small crowd, 2 guys lugging a green sign that read, Community Lake, 40 years of use, and a lawyer in charcoal named Peter Lang, who shook my hand like it hurt his soul. And when he said, decades of open, continuous use, give this community rights, I held up my palm like an ump. Great, let's do it. Clean. Hostile use. Continuous use. Open and notorious use. Exclusive use. Statutory period. You fail hostile because you asked permission. In 77 you fail. Continuous because the bank's possession breaks it. You fail exclusive because half this county wandered that shore, and even if you somehow crawled through our state, still requires recording to enforce Section 18240. Want to see it? The shovel guys stopped moving. Peter blinked. Slow. Lydia stared holes through me, and Deputy Riker appeared from the trees like the woods were tired of nonsense. After they left, he pressed a card into my hand. Walter Pike used to be your treasurer. He quit because his conscience kept showing up to meetings. Walter opened his door before I knocked a 1-story ranch with a flag that had seen summers, and he set down an accordion folder like he was laying out a body. Board minutes authorizing money for lake access maintenance, when there was no legal access bank statements showing the cash. His emails warning the board to stop lying, and that same 2001 message from Lydia telling the board to act like owners after council said they weren't. Walter's voice had gravel in it. I resigned in '03. They called me dramatic. Said the community needed leadership, and I said leadership isn't theft with a nicer sweater. And when I asked if he would testify, he said yes, in a way that made the room feel lighter. That's the twist right in the middle where some folks expect me to roll over. It wasn't confusion. It was a choice, and the choice wasn't mine. Maya set a special session at the county commission cameras, packed benches a line at the metal detector, like a small-town concert where nobody loves the band, but everyone loves the fight. And Chair Ruth Delgado banged the gavel and said, "We'll hear the HOA, then Mr. Mercer, then County Council. Keep it civil." Lydia gave a slideshow of kids splashing, and dads casting lines, and summer sun on a blue surface. And if heart counted as a deed, she would have owned the moon. But when the chair asked, "Did you ever record an easement, yes or no?" Peter said recording was not deemed necessary, and that answer hung there like a slow ceiling fan. I plugged in my laptop and threw up a timeline that ran from 1951 to last Thursday night Federal Reserve status, declassified and transferred, with the line that matters in letters you could read from the cheap seats. No public easement, unless recorded with the county recorder. Then county rejections in 77, 89, 95, then opinions in 86 and 01, saying prescriptive claim, not supported, and continued use without permission is trespass. Then the 2001 email from Lydia Council says we have no legal standing. Recommend we keep using it. Nobody will stop us if we act like owners 10 feet tall and crueler at that size. Gasps hit the back wall. Someone said that can't be real. And Walter stepped to the mic on careful feet and said his name and said what he had carried too long. We were warned in writing by county council and our own lawyer. We charged people for a lake we didn't own. I quit because my stomach and my prayers couldn't hold it together. And he set the paper down with hands that didn't shake anymore. Lydia shot up and tried to make it about 4 decades of families and what the community is, and Chair Delgado cracked the gavel so hard the mic squealed and said, "This is not about feelings. This is about law." And Maya walked up with color-tabbed binders and said, "The county recognizes private ownership. No recorded easement section 140 applies recent trespass and property damage referred to the sheriff." The motion was short and sharp. Recognize Birch Hollow Lake as private property held by Mercer. No recorded easement exists. Issue a cease and desist to the Birch Ridge HOA. Effective immediately refer relevant materials to law enforcement. 5 hands rose without trembling motion carries, and the room split applause and anger relief and grief people realizing the story they were told had a missing chapter. Peter leaned toward Lydia and said he couldn't continue representation because he hadn't been given the full facts, and he left with his jaw tight. And Sheriff West took the file boxes from Maya while the camera lights stung. And that's where I cut the tape in my head, at the crack of the gavel, and the moment a person who always got yes finally met. That carried. I know what you're thinking, Caleb. You got the law. But what about the dads who taught their kids to fish out there? The older couple who walk the shore every Tuesday? The difference between legal and right. You're not wrong to ask. I've been asking myself maybe the next right move is a gate with hours and a sign that tells the truth. So nobody has to wonder where the line is. Maybe the right move is to lock it and let the lesson sting. So it doesn't repeat. Maybe the truth lives somewhere in the messy middle, and it needs all of us to say it out loud. You know what I mean? I haven't decided, not yet. And that's the part I'm willing to argue about with good faith and straight facts. So tell me in the comments, should decades of use matter when the record says it doesn't? Should a private owner carry the weight of other people's nostalgia? Should leaders who lied face charges? Or just elections, am I right, wrong? Or somewhere human in between? Drop your city, so I know where you're watching from. Share what your neighborhood has been through. And if this made you think, or made you mad, or made you feel a little less alone, hit subscribe, pass it to a friend who needs to hear. Paper speak louder than a microphone. And let's talk about power property and what we owe each other when memories and records don't match.